SLIP.7 configuration for chaeto only overflow feed. This is where you want to not use any pumps at all, and you just want to have the overflow feed from your nano display overflowing the overflow directly into your SLIP.7. So, first thing, you do not need the top cover because that would block the water flow. You do not need the internal screen, and so you're going to remove the internal screen. Just take out the little clip on the end here, remove the tubing, remove the screen. This you might need depending upon how much light you want to block. You do not need the top tubing, and you do not need the bottom tubing. Now the bottom tray you might need. You might need the bottom tray to block the light, or to use the legs for to elevate at a different elevation. But you do not need this tubing here, air tubing, so you can take that out. Just take out the little plug on the end and lift those up and slide that out. So now you have just your bottom plate where you can plug in the legs if needed, or just to block the light as needed. So this still has the Gem 5 light, which of course you must have a light to operate it. And the Gem 5 light, it's not going to look very bright here, but if this were in a dark bedroom and you had the top and open like this, it's going to light up your whole ceiling red. So you're going to have to look at your configuration of your aquarium, what kind of cover you have, to decide what kind of pieces you want to include here. So if you imagine this is the back of your aquarium, your nano, this is the back compartment, and here's the overflow, and it overflows like this. Depending upon the height of that is going to depend upon how high you want this. Right now it's a straight shot through, as you can see. Basically it's a container with the light. And your chaeto will grow in there. Now the simplest is simply to set this under your overflow and just let it overflow into it and turn it on and put your chaeto ball inside and then just see what happens. Now your water in your sump compartment, your back compartment, is going to be somewhere. It's going to be up here, it's going to be down here. Just depends on where it's at, but your chaeto ball, if you do a big enough chaeto ball, will not flow out the bottom because you only have about this much space here on the bottom. So you could play around with that, and the chaeto ball will grow, and then of course you can just pull it out the top or the bottom, lift it out like this, pull the chaeto ball out, take it to your where you're going to take the chaeto ball to, and just leave enough in here so that it won't come out when it's sitting down here on the bottom, because you have about this much space. If the chaeto ball does not come out of that, then you'll be okay. Now you may need to elevate this. If your overflow grating is way up high, you may want to lift this up, and then you can set this on something. You can set it on anything, rocks, a box, a piece of plastic, an egg crate, anything like that. But it is going to let more light out the bottom. Okay? It's going to let more light out. So maybe that's not a concern if you have a blacked out back compartment wall, and if you do, and if you have a top, then you won't care about any of this because all the light will stay in. But you probably want to adjust it so that you have not so much waterfall here, and you can raise it up so the water goes right in and it doesn't fall that far. Now if you want to block some light on the bottom, you're just going to slide in the bottom tray, and that's going to block your light. Not all the light, but it's going to block a large part of it, which is really all you need for a nano compartment, because the nano compartment is already sealed off somewhat. Also, if you're going to want to lift this up with the legs, the included plastic legs, flexible. And you're going to choose how high you want that to go and then clip off the legs. And then you can, if there's any pipes or fittings at the bottom, you can bend these around so that it will fit down just like that. But you're going to want to lift this up so that the overflow goes right into it. So you can use this for legs and at the same time to block the light from the bottom. If the legs are too loose, then just squeeze them a little bit with pliers right there and you'll get a tighter fit. And of course, if they're too tight, then you can just sand it down. But really, if you just work it in there, they'll fit in there. Also, you can glue these, of course, with some plastic glue, any type of glue. But then you're going to have a hard time getting them out if you need to get them out. Now the top, if you have an open top back compartment, you're probably going to need to block out the light. So then you're going to take the top insert, which is where the screen would normally go. The top insert has a cover for the light here. It has a feed for the water. 4 little feeds for the water to go into here, which would normally feed the screen, but you're not using the screen right now, although you could. And then you also have the little hole for air, which you're not using here. So you're just using the 4 holes for the water going in. And that would just fit right in the top. And that's going to block the light from the top, the majority of it. Now you cannot use this because the top lid, because that's going to block your overflow from the water. So this blocks almost all the remaining light, but you need this open for water to go into here. So this is how you would do it with the top piece and the bottom piece if you want to block the most light. And of course, if you did want to use the screen insert, even though you're not growing attached algae, but maybe you want to use the chaeto spikes, okay, then of course you can do that. Okay, and now when it comes time to harvest, you can take the whole thing out, lift it up like this. This is going to hold all your chaeto in there, and there's just a tiny spot here where the water exits, so you're not going to lose much chaeto out of here. And then you would just remove that, and your spikes are going to pull the chaeto out the top. There is a little place here where the chaeto might get stuck. Maybe future revisions will have that smoothed out a little bit, but you might have to reach in to grab the chaeto out and get that out. And that is your configuration for chaeto only overflow feed.